Sometimes I wake up grumpy, but other times I let her sleep in. Today, I'm going to recap a 1996 action thriller film called Broken Arrow. The film opens with Major Vic Deakins and Captain Riley Hale engaging in a practice fight, where Deakins also instructs Hale on how to avoid getting hit by an adversary. Deakins and Hale are American Air Force pilots based in the southwest of the USA. Subsequently, Hale hands over the wagered money to Deakins, who declines it, remarking that Hale hasn't exerted sufficient effort. Following this, the pilots are assigned a highly confidential mission on a B-3 stealth bomber, an imaginary advanced model of the existing B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, equipped with two B-83 nuclear bombs. Deakins and Hale set off from Whiteman Air Force Base with the nuclear arms for a nighttime drill over Utah. Meanwhile, an operative uncovers an older couple camping unlawfully. The mission being of utmost secrecy, the operative eliminates the couple with a pistol. During the drill, after they successfully dodge Air Force detection, Deakins initiates a casual chat. He uses this as a ploy to distract and attack Hale. A scuffle breaks out, culminating in Deakins ejecting Hale from the aircraft. Subsequently, Deakins jettisons the bombs from the aircraft without triggering them. Once the Air Force Base reestablishes radar contact with the aircraft, Deakins falsely claims that Hale has turned traitor and abandons the mission. He escapes by parachute, allowing the aircraft to crash into a mountainside in Utah's canyons. Later on, high-ranking officials and others in the Air Force convene, planning to falsely announce that the aircraft crashed for unknown reasons. At this juncture, Giles argues that this is unwise, warning that determined journalists will stop at nothing to uncover the real story. He suggests revealing the truth, but his superior ignores his advice. A search and rescue squad is dispatched to retrieve the warheads. They don't find the warheads in the plane's cargo wreck and declare a broken arrow, signifying the loss of the nuclear weapons. The team is instructed to persist in their search, broadening the area until the nuclear arms are located. Following this, we see Hale crash landing in the wilderness, bewildered by Deakins' actions. Just then, Terry, a park ranger, stumbles upon him and points a gun at him. Hale shoves her aside and starts to flee. They both reach for a gun, but Terry surprises him with a push. However, Hale eventually gains the upper hand and seizes the gun. Still, he chooses not to shoot her, hands her the gun, and departs. Yet, she informs him about a radio in her car, suggesting they call for help. Subsequently, the rescue team finds the warheads in a gorge, but unexpectedly, mercenaries kill two team members during the retrieval. We discover that Sergeant Kelly is a rogue operative, orchestrating this nefarious plot. Deakins, also involved in Kelly's scheme, arrives believing Hale is deceased, but learns from a man that Terry has found him. Soon after, the search team locates the nuclear bombs, but Kelly's men ambush them, eliminating everyone. Then, Deakins discusses his next steps with Pritchett, the backer of the scheme. Meanwhile, Hale and Terry head to her car. Kelly deceives the commander over the phone, feigning injury and reporting the search team's demise. The commander dispatches backup forces, causing Pritchett to become anxious. However, Deakins assures that they will have enough time to escape and erase their tracks before help arrives. At this moment, Terry unsuccessfully tries to use the radio to contact the base. Suddenly, Hale grabs her and they start to escape. A military helicopter soon begins shooting at them, trying to eliminate them. After finding cover, Terry distracts the pilot, allowing Hale to fatally shoot the pilot. Following this event, Pritchett worries the plan is unraveling. But Deakins is confident everything will proceed as intended. Giles hears about the incident and suspects foul play. Hale confesses to Terry that his friend Deakins ejected him from the plane to hijack the nuclear weapons. Spotting Deakins and his crew escaping in two Humvees, Hale, acting impulsively with Terry, jumps onto the moving vehicles. They manage to enter a Humvee and take control. Hale grabs a gasoline can, throws it onto Deakins' vehicle, and sets it ablaze. Then, they reach a deserted copper mine. At the same time, Deakins is on the hunt for Hale, knowing the nuclear weapons are in the hijacked Humvee. Inside the mine, Hale tries to make the bombs useless by deliberately entering a wrong activation code, a safety measure to deactivate them. However, Deakins anticipated this and had already removed the safety feature from the bombs. As a result, Hale unintentionally activates the warhead. Unable to deactivate it, Hale decides to hide the unarmed bomb deep in the mine to keep it from being used maliciously. Giles heads back to the military base and confirms his suspicion that Deakins indeed took the nuclear weapons. Deakins reaches the mine and a gunfight breaks out. He eventually locates the unarmed bomb and takes it, leaving Hale and Terry to face the looming explosion. During the confrontation between Deakins and Hale, Terry catches one of the goons off guard. Hale jumps in and eliminates him. Another of Deakins' men, wielding a grenade, charges at Hale but gets shot, dropping the grenade. Hale quickly throws it away, but the blast partially collapses the mine, blocking their escape route. With only 6 minutes until the explosion, Deakins and his crew make their escape. Before fleeing, Deakins destroys the elevator with 2 grenades, cutting off the last known exit. However, Terry suggests a plan. With only 2 minutes remaining, they find an escape route through a subterranean river. Meanwhile, a helicopter is in pursuit of Deakins as his mercenaries continue their plan to extort the government, threatening to detonate the bomb in a populated area. Pritchett reprimands Deakins for the helicopter chase, but an irritated Deakins ends Pritchett's life, crushing his throat with a flashlight. Hale and Terry narrowly escape the mine through an underground waterway just as the bomb goes off. The bomb's electromagnetic pulse, EMP, renders the Nest team's helicopter inoperable, causing it to crash and burst into flames. During this, they decide to keep the mine blast confidential and instead report it as a mere earthquake. Following the blast, Terry starts to panic, but Hale manages to calm her down. Shortly after, they notice that Deakins and his group are planning to transport the remaining bomb using a speedboat. Terry hides on the boat while Deakins moves the warhead, and Hale stays ashore looking for another plan. Meanwhile, at the military base, they receive Deakins' threat video. While this happens, Terry hides in the foliage and eventually sneaks into the van carrying the warhead. The military, influenced by Deakins' message, mistakenly arrests Hale, thinking he's a traitor. Hale, however, convinces them of the truth and changes their perspective. Realizing Deakins intends to move the nuclear bomb via train, Hale sets off in a helicopter to find the train and pursue the other mercenaries. Deakins, in his haste to escape on the boat, left a hospital ID tag from Salt Lake City on it. This leads to suspicions that Deakins might try to hide the bomb in a hospital's radiography department, prompting teams to be sent to Salt Lake City in case Deakins heads there. Hale, however, suspects that Deakins is using a classic misdirection tactic by planting the Salt Lake ID to mislead the authorities. Believing Salt Lake City to be a diversion, Hale suggests focusing on Denver to the east as a more likely target. In the meantime, Terry remains determined and holds onto the train that's carrying the warhead. After Deakins activates the bomb, he tells his associates that they will stop the timer once they get the money. When Terry confronts the scientist in charge of detonating the bomb, she attacks him. However, he manages to defend himself. She then grabs a hammer, throws it at the scientist's face after he falls, and kills him. She then moves towards the warhead, but soon Deakins shows up armed. He coerces Terry to trigger the bomb by giving her the code while pointing a gun at her head. Despite this, she ultimately hits the cancel button, leading Deakins to decide to throw her off the train. Just then, as they open the door, Hale's prediction proves correct, and they find Deakins' train heading east. Hale leaps onto the train and rescues Terry. Shortly after, a henchman orders Hale to drop his weapon. Pretending to comply, Hale bends down, grabs Terry's gun, and eliminates the henchman. This sparks a gun battle, destroying the helicopter Hale and Colonel Wilkins were on, resulting in the deaths of Wilkins and most of Deakins' mercenaries. The fight continues on the train, with Hale engaging in close combat with the henchman. Hale almost falls off the train but manages to cling on. He then takes cover with Terry. As his plans unravel and his own helicopter is compromised, Deakins decides to detonate the nuclear device ahead of schedule. Meanwhile, Hale urges Terry to escape while he confronts Deakins. Amidst this, one of Deakins' men panics and demands that Deakins disarm the bomb. Suddenly, Hale appears and throws the henchman off the train. Facing Deakins alone, Deakins proposes a wager, stating if Hale can defeat him in hand-to-hand combat, he will disarm the bomb. Deakins launches into a brutal attack on Hale, who puts up a strong fight. Meanwhile, Terry decides to come back to assist Hale. Utilizing his swiftness to counter Deakins' power, Hale eventually gets the upper hand, reversing their previous encounter's outcome. In a dramatic moment, he leaps off the train just in time, holding the bomb's remote and successfully deactivates it. As he does this, the separated train cars crash into the halted front section. This violent crash propels the now safe warhead straight into Deakins, and the entire train goes off the tracks, erupting into flames that consume Deakins. Miraculously, Hale survives the chaos. Amidst the ruins, he spots a $20 bill caught on a branch, the very bill Deakins had earlier won from him during their boxing practice, along with the nuclear bomb, damaged but still whole. He then finds Terry amidst the wreckage. The two, having been through an extraordinary ordeal together, formally introduce themselves to each other for the first time. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.